Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
When I realized Christiano Berti was the killer, and it didn't take me long to realize that. The rest, Mr. Germani, was like writing a book. A book!
This is episode 234, recorded May 31st, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
It was just like writing a book, Bill Mulligan.
A book.
Bill,
The big author. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr. This podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-host, Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. And if you were around for the three films we did in May, you saw the not so classic side. So we're trying to remedy that here. Decades of Horror and Gruesome Magazine partner with Play Now Media on several of their channels. Decades of Horror, the 1980s, is on the Wicked Horror TV channel and the Free Horror channel, as well as others. So go check those out. And we're pretty well caught up. Yep. I worked with them this week, and I think we got everything that's out is up there now.
Yeah, good job.
So check us out there. On this podcast, we usually start with some basic details of the film that we're covering, and then first impressions, and we move into general discussion of whatever trips our triggers, along with some taglines, hopefully relating to this film.
See what happens.
All right, joining me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl, and co-host of the Gruesome Magazine podcast. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm fabulous. I wish this was going to air sooner so I could be like, come see me at Con Carolinas. I'm a guest. I'm a guest, actually. So that's what it is, Bill. That's what it says there. Apparently, that's what I am. Yes. So this should be.
And you've been planning this for weeks and weeks and weeks.
I mean, totally. I'm so prepared. It's amazing. Really,
that is awesome.
Really good at life. Really good at life.
Yeah. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and writer, and co-host Decades of Horror, the classic era, and the 1970s, and producer director for Wreak Havoc Productions. You got something showing at Con Carolinas?
Yeah, Con Carolinas too. Yeah, he's got
a few things showing there.
He's got a couple. He's becoming quite. He's no Tom Gore.
No, nobody's a Tom Gore.
A presence in the indie film community in North Carolina. So,
sure.
I think you need to do more acting. I think you're good.
Thank you. I might take you up on that.
Yep.
Maybe we should write. Maybe we should write a short for him, like a guy who's forced to do so many taglines that he just snaps. And he goes around killing people, and as he kills them, he says some
tagline. Actually, that's funny.
Yeah,
okay,
that's good.
Short film, yeah.
That one is copyrighted right now.
All right, okay.
Bill, start writing it
first.
And last but not least is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s. How you doing, Bill?
Now all I want to think about is writing the screenplay. I can just, I can almost see it. I can almost see it in my head. Okay.
And author of the novel Raum, R-A-U-M.
Raum, available on Amazon.com. A-R-U-M. I need better lighting so this would show up better. But then you'd see me more too. So it's got demons. It's got lawyers.
It looks sweet.
It's fun. It's a great cover. Susan Roddy.
I need to bring mine so you can sign it.
I will definitely sign it for you. Absolutely.
So this is a spoiler podcast.
Oh, we're going to spoil the crap out of this.
Yeah, we're going to spoil the crap out of this. So, hey, this is a twisty kind of film. Today's topic for this episode is Tenebrae from 1982, written and directed by Dario Argento. And those of you that listen to the 70s probably will have just seen The Bird with the Crystal Plumage that we just did. So this is actually a pretty good tie-in. check those out together.
I'd love to say I had that intentionally, but no, I just picked, you know, that one and then this one, and it's like, as it turns out, they flow together very well.
The first thing we see here in this picture is a scene from almost every Giallo.
Yeah. Only the faces change.
This one includes Anthony Franciosa, which I always just knew as Tony Franciosa, Daria Nicolodi,
yay,
Giuliano Gemma, John Saxon, Veronica Lario, Christian Borromeo, and John Steiner. Production company Sigma Cinematographica in Rome. Filming locations Rome and New York City, and the only thing in New York is the airport scenes. Filming dates May 3rd to July 16th, 1982, and it was released in Italy on October 27th, 1982, and in the US February 17th, 1984. A lot of different versions and different languages of this name, Tenebrae, without an A, as we put it in English. In Italian, it's Tenebre. In France, it ends with an S. And my understanding is that means darkness.
Yeah.
Something like that. But also in Finland, Tokoa Aivoa Paeta, you can't escape fear. Also in the US, Unsane, which okay. And Mexico, El Placer del Miedo. I don't know if I said that right or not. The video title, which translates to The Pleasure of Fear. Okay. And the synopsis is an American writer in Rome is stalked and harassed by a serial killer who is murdering everyone associated with his work on his latest book. That's not exactly true. Why do they oh well.
Yeah.
Why do they write these
ours
like
is
that?
not reasonable.
All right. Well, let's get to first impressions. I didn't get anything for budget or box office, although somewhere I saw about 500,000 theater admissions in Italy. Not near as much as Bird of the Crystal Plumage, so or Suspiria, yeah. So for some reason, anyway, this was Bill's pick. So let's do first impressions, Bill.
First impression. So here's the surprise. This is actually the first time I've seen the entire movie.
Oh,
and I know. Well, there's a reason for that. As I've said many times, Suspiria is my favorite movie, and when I discovered it, I immediately had to seek out, the people who made it and all. And it was also about the time I was getting into the horror writing of the late Chaz Ballin, who wrote a number of books on the gore score and splatter movie. I don't think he did splatter movies, but he was just a really good writer, and he loved Argento and wrote about it. And then I rented a movie called, oh my God, Dario Argento's World of Horror, I think it was called, which was a documentary that had all of the great kills. And it had the two great kills from this movie, which are two of the best. So I knew, wow, this was, especially the one with the arm. I just couldn't believe how cool that was. But then I heard that although it was released, I tried to find everything I could. And it was slim pickings where I was finding videotapes, because it was videotapes back then, of Argento stuff, except for the easy ones to find, like Suspiria and Phenomena. They did have it available under the stupid title Unsane, but I was alerted to the fact that it was heavily edited and was, when they say heavily edited for an Argento movie, I knew what that meant. They cut out all the good gore and blood and the stuff that I saw in the documentary, which, so I refused to rent it, hoping that, eventually something better would come along. And it did. But just for whatever reason, I never got around to grabbing it. And, I do realize this is just a weird stupidity thing of me. There are, I love Mario Bava. There's a couple of Mario Bava movies I haven't watched yet. And, I could seek them out. I mean, everything's available now, but it's like I have this mental thing. It's like once I watch them, that's it. There's no more new Mario Bava movies being made anymore on account of, unfortunately, he died a number of decades ago. And that'll be it. I won't have them to look forward to anymore. So I put them off and watch Galaxy Quest again when I could be watching, those few remaining Mario Bava movies. And, it's stupid because time marches on. And if I'm driving on my way to Con Carolinas this weekend and all of a sudden a cement mixer heads toward me in the wrong lane, those are going to be the last words on my lips. It's like, oh, I should have watched The Whip in the Body. I missed my chance.
A cement mixer.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, it's a good visual. Anyway, what did I think? Well, I loved it, and boy, I loved it even more. I'm glad I waited this long because now I get to talk about it with you guys. But even better, after watching Bird with the Crystal Plumage and then watching this, you see it. You see the growth of the artist. And how he was able to, doing things. There's a few shots in here. There's an amazing 2-minute shot of a crane shot going over a house and peeking through the windows. And you're like, well, this was obviously not in the budget for Bird, but he did it now. And this is just a really good film. It's not Suspiria. It has a much more reasonable palette. But I get that. This is a return to, Suspiria is set in a supernatural world. And this one is set in the real world with real killers. So it makes sense that the things look realistic. But it's got everything I really like, including Daria Nicolodi, who is so beautiful. She is just one of my favorite horror movie actresses. I've always been in love with her. And she's gorgeous here, as she always is. Yeah, it's got great kills. Does it make any sense? More than Suspiria, but everything makes more sense than Suspiria. So as a mystery, you're probably not going to figure out the solution to the mystery. I certainly did. And in my defense, it's a stupid solution. It makes absolutely no sense. You try to go back and well, fair. I guess maybe it could be that way if you ignore a bunch of things. But so what? You're there for the ride, and it's a whole lot of fun. And I just had a great time watching it. So I'm glad I didn't watch the edited version and had all the stuff spoiled for me.
Yeah. Crystal, how about you? Had you seen this before?
No, I have not seen this before. This is the first time I've seen it. I'm actually really shocked that I hadn't seen this before because this movie is fantastic. I do love Suspiria as well. I like a lot of Argento's stuff. So I don't know why I never watched this. This is actually even one of the better ones for sure. The story is kind of crazy, but it makes sense. Except for, there's some plot holes, which, come on. It's an Italian 80s film. I'm shocked that there's only maybe a couple plot holes. It's shot really well. I watched the version on Shudder, and it was really nice looking. I don't know if y'all's was, but the picture quality was really good, and it was really clear and stuff. I think that it was... Yeah, it was fairly entertaining. I think the deaths were good. He didn't do as much of the eye stuff as he normally, he loves those eyes. But there were a couple times, but not, it's like he was kind of kind of stayed back from that a bit, which I thought was kind of interesting. The acting was fine. There's John Saxon. So, okay, I am really curious as to how they film this stuff because some of it is subtitled or dubbed over, and then some of them are speaking English. So how does that work? Do y'all know? Is half the actors speaking English and half speaking Italian to each other, or what is happening? Are they actually all speaking English, and because the Italian actors don't do the best job at saying it, they dub it over? Or
I know and I think it may vary from film to film, but sometimes they have the non-English speaking people speaking the words phonetically, not really even knowing what they're saying, which must be a disaster when you're trying to be an actor. And did I put the right emotion on the right line? Who knows? And then they have someone dub it afterwards. I don't know.
Because it's obvious that some of it is dubbed, you know, but it's obvious that there are American actors that are speaking English in here too. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. Like I said, I don't know how this slipped past. You know, I mean, honestly, as a kid, I could see how it slipped past me because the title alone would probably just be a little weird for me. I'd be like, why am I gonna? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. You know, I wouldn't understand it or get it. But I'm surprised that it took me this long to see it. It makes me feel a little out of touch.
No. I think this is one that kind of slipped through the cracks. I think this and Inferno didn't really get the release that they, you know, they did get a release, but it wasn't much of a release. And that might have been worse for them in the long run than the ones that didn't get a release at all and eventually are sort of like rediscovered and put out there. So I don't know. But yeah, this one, this one was not always easy to find.
Okay. Chad, how about you? What do you think of Tenebrae?
This is the first time I've seen this. And as you guys know, we talked last time on 70s about I'm not a big Giallo enthusiast. I've never watched that many of them, but I'm starting to come to an appreciation for them. And I'd always seen Suspiria and some of Argento's other films, Inferno and stuff like that, and liked them a lot. But like Bill brought out earlier, those have more of a supernatural bent to them than a regular Giallo slasher type film does. But this one I really, really liked. I love the music in this. It was sort of that synthesizer, that 80s synth type sounding music that I really dig. I like listening to that in this kind of a movie because it takes me back to that. A lot of those slasher films from back then were mostly synth type music. Tony Francioso, I like him a lot. I'll watch anything with John Saxon in it. I don't care. It could be a dog food commercial and I would go, yeah, John Saxon. Love John Saxon. And I love that he was playing a different kind of character in this.
He was.
You know, he wasn't this evil bad guy that, you know, and this kind of thing. He was sort of a schlubby agent type of guy, sleazy, you know, kind of a guy
who loved his hat.
Yeah, he loved that hat he wore. So that was cool to see him in that kind of role. And some of the kills were pretty gruesome, especially the axe to the stomach. The one to the forehead. Got a lot of axe murder in this one that I dug a lot. The gore was really good, so I like that. And and we also talked about Bird with Crystal Plumage. How I kind of figured out halfway through who it was before that, but this movie had like 10 endings.
Yeah.
just when you think it's over, something else happens, and so
the Lord of the Rings of Giallo.
So it kept me guessing the whole time, which I did like that. You know, some of it might have not made as much sense as the filmmakers might have wanted it to, but hey, it kept you guessing. Well, it wasn't him. What do you mean it wasn't him? Wasn't her? Who was it? You know. So it kept going until it was like 10 little Indians. There was only a few people left that weren't dead. So,
well, you know, halfway through the movie, a guy confesses to the killings, and then you're like, okay, well, there you go. And then he's killed. They're like, well, damn. I guess the mystery isn't as solved as I thought it was.
That was cool stuff. It was a little cheesy the way that kind of all worked out, but hey, it was the 70s or 80s, and there was a lot of cheese going on around that time. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. This was right up there with Bird with Crystal Plumage. They're sort of like companion pieces. Almost.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I dug it a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, I did too. This is a more, and I suppose you should expect it to be, but it's an even more complex plot than Bird with a Crystal Plumage. But I liked this a lot. I thought Franciosa was really good, and of course Darla Nicolodi. But there's, yes, she's beautiful, but there was like I don't know, half a dozen beautiful women in this thing. And apparently no women wore bras in Italy in the
I know.
early
I was thinking the
1980s.
same thing, Jeff. I was like, wait, what?
It was a golden age, a great time to be alive.
Yeah.
And when you walk around investigating strange noises, you do it nude. I mean,
yeah.
What can you say?
That's the only way.
Anyway, it was really good, and because of the way it plays out, we get different kills. But there was a lot of Argento trademarks in this. I love that crane shot too, that long tracking shot that he did. Although there's no real reason for it. I mean, it's just cool. It's just cool.
It was nice though. Yeah.
Oh, it was very
some
cool.
Nice shots here.
We get some mirror action. We get some, we get some glass breaking and all that stuff that we get a lot. And the women, there was, so I was reading something where they were talking about this being sort of a doppelganger type movie, in that a lot of the people, it took me a while because 2 or 3 of the women looked very similar and had similar hair. At least the woman that's interviewing him at the beginning and Daria are very similar in height and shape, and I guess her hair was a little darker, but you didn't always notice it. And then obviously the police detective that looked a lot like Daria when her hair was wet, even though she was blonde. And I have questions. I'll have to ask you guys these questions, but I thought it was great. And there's one kill that's just off the rails. I mean, I thought I was watching Is She the Killer or something, or one of those.
It did have that Shogun assassin feel to it.
Yeah, later Japanese blood fests. So anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great twist, and it was, of course, I watched it again, and I watched. I've got the Synopsis Blu-ray.
Of course you do.
Yes, I did. And there was a commentary from Maitland McDonough, who's kind of she's got a book on Argento, and then there was a 90-minute documentary on Giallo, which is very interesting, that even goes into film noir and the Krimi ones, which we mentioned, the kind of German crime films. So that was really interesting too. So just for people that might be interested in that, and I know there's other companies that have put them out, but one of the things that she talked about, Bill, Maitland McDonough, was kind of what you were talking about, and Crystal brought up too, is that first off, the titles are kind of inaccessible. If you don't know what you're looking for and you see Tenebrae, you don't know that's what I want to see. You got no idea what that is. And the second thing was they just didn't market them at all on the U.S. releases. They basically said, according to her, like in New York City, they literally would not even advertise them. And so the only way you knew that it was playing was if you went walking up and down 42nd Street looking at all the theaters and picked out the horror versus the sleaze versus and just saw what was playing. So, geez, no kidding.
I'm sure he thought he was going to get away with it because Suspiria is an actual word that nobody knows what it means. But Suspiria is easy to pronounce, and it's a great word.
It sounds creepy.
Yeah. It sounds creepy. It's, Tenebrae, no. And if you well, we didn't have the internet back then, but if you did go on YouTube and search for Tenebrae, you get a whole bunch of stuff about music, because it's a term used very much in music.
Well, it's used in the Catholic religion too, because they used to celebrate. It used to be like part of us. I think it was before Easter or something. Okay, so that's even weirder. Like what?
Yeah. So, and the idea that you couldn't get according to her, she was researching Argento back then, and you had to become investigator to find an uncut good copy of the movie, because they were notorious for cutting them up. And she said the nasty word bootleg. She said you didn't have a choice. Yeah. I'd have been more than happy to hand money over, but this was the only way that I could get a hold of it, was through bootleg.
Right. And speaking of nasty, this was one of the video nasties in Britain, so that probably didn't help its
like the video kind of thing.
Yeah, they had it. There was a campaign. I guess it was a slow news summer, and they decided all problems are being caused by violent movies, and a bunch of the movies that were video nasties are real trash. They're nasty because they're just not worth watching. But a few good ones got roped in there too, and this was one of them.
I was almost going to pop up a poster, but before we get to posters, we need to do...
Oh, yes.
It's time for...
Oh, my God. I feel like...
Taglines with Chad.
This is Chad auditioning for the role in our short film. Hey, Chad, you got to unmute yourself. Nice try. Nice try.
These are silent taglines.
I don't want it. Silent taglines. Okay, taglines for the movie Tenebrae, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, from the undisputed master of the macabre, or macabre, however you want to say that too.
I like it both ways, honestly.
Yeah. It sounds creepier if you say macabre, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's macabre. That sounds like something that's left over after you eat all the corn.
That's usually the way I pronounce it, but it's not as nice.
After I ate my corn, I was left with macabre.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Warning! This is one of the best murder mysteries you will ever see, but it's not for the faint-hearted. Will Robinson.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
Mm-mm.
Terror beyond belief.
Okay.
Well, okay. Well,
just cool.
I think we've seen that one before.
I'm sure we'll see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems legit.
A descent into madness.
Okay. That's not.
I think we heard that one before too, but nice.
Sure.
Nice,
nicely done. Yeah.
Nice vocal effects there.
Okay.
Shut up.
I'm trying to keep this fresh, man. I'm trying to keep it fresh. Unrelenting terror from the maker of Demons, Creepers, and Suspiria.
Okay. That sounds
name
like
dropping,
very
but
energetic,
That's a big time name dropping. And those are your taglines for tonight.
There you go.
Tenebrae.
Okay, that's it. And that's been Taglines with Chad.
The highlight of everyone's.
Oh yeah,
it just tickles me. I just can't help myself. So anyway, well, talking about these video nasties, I wanted to throw this one up. So this top poster, they made them put a red ribbon around her neck in Britain.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
They had it up in like subways and trains and stuff.
I mean, that's just a little trickle of blood. Gee, frankly, the big red ribbon is creepier.
But the boobs are okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
Right.
The bottom one is a joke. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a cut t-shirt. It's a cut
It looks
t-shirt.
like
I'm dead.
When are you going to throw these underwear away?
Oh my God. Yeah, and yet though that is my favorite. That's my favorite.
I like
shot
that
in the movie though. That
I like her.
Just brilliant.
It's a good shot in the movie. Yeah,
but out of context, it
doesn't
looks
fit
silly.
well on a
Context,
poster.
yeah.
Exactly.
I cannot believe he wore this T-shirt.
And for one reason or another, there were a lot.
Yeah,
I
found a bunch of these, and I don't know if any of them are actual legit. Though they seem to have the credits and everything. They kind of look fan made, but they're good. I love they're all great.
I do. I kind of like these. I don't know why. I think she looks legit crazy right there in that. Makes you think definitely like, is she holding that or is someone else? It's hard to tell. So it looks like, is it a female killer? We don't know. And the washing the knife off. Oh my God. When they did that,
that's great.
When they actually showed that shot, it was like, whoever, like, it's just holding it there. It was ridiculous, but I was actually thinking about it. Like, that looks cool though.
Yeah, that shot was great. So is the one where he taps on the light bulb and it breaks and the smoke comes out. It's like, I don't know why he did it, but it was a very cool shot. And that's all the reason he needs.
He was murdering the light bulb.
Yeah, take that light bulb.
They need to figure out, settle on a spelling of the word too while they're at it.
Well, you know.
Oh God, yep.
I've been pronouncing it Tenebrae all my life, and I guess that's wrong. But what do I know?
I don't know. I'm just going by the woman on the commentary was saying Tenebrae. So,
she knows more than I do. Safe bet.
Well, that you and then how you pronounce it in Italian could be entirely different. So I think without the A is the Italian, and with the A, US. It's just like zombie 3. You have to put an E on the end of zombie here because we would never understand that ZOMBI.
I want to see Zombie this afternoon. Zombie 3.
Zombie. Okay.
Isn't zombie plural for zombie? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think so.
I saw much zombie.
We just have to. It's a thing. We just have to mess with stuff.
Well, you're a Hollywood guy, and you have to justify your high 6-figure income. It's like this needs an E at the end, or you're a genius.
She made the comment. Why does the distributor buy it? They must be buying it without any knowledge of the movie, because then they cut it and they change the title and they, anyway.
Yeah. They know more than the creative people. Sure. Yeah.
So Tony Franciosa,
who Argento said was the hardest actor he ever had to work with.
Really? What did he say about him? I'm so curious.
That's all I saw. He kind of said the same thing about Tony Musanti.
Yeah.
Musante was the hardest guy to work with.
Basically, Americans are hard to work with, English-speaking language, and
So he plays Peter Neal, this whose new novel is titled Tenebrae, and he writes these things, and it's interesting to me. Like we talked about this in Bird of the Crystal Plumage, that in a lot of his films, art plays a big part, or usually one of the main characters is an artist in some way, either a writer or an actual, or a photographer or something. So yeah, here we have the writer of the suspense novels, I guess. And I got to tell you, there was a huge clue at the beginning that told us that he was totally out of his mind. He was insane.
He's riding a bicycle on a busy New York street.
He's riding a bicycle on the freeway to the airport. I'm sorry.
In New York, they'd run you. The nuns would run you over just on principle.
He does nothing else the entire movie to show that he's trying to stay in shape or something, like whatever the reasoning was behind that.
Yeah, he rides his bike to the airport, and then he meets a car there that's brought his luggage. Okay.
And goes in the
exact opposite of how I do it.
It goes in the bathroom.
Strap the luggage to your back and ride the bicycle to the airport.
So yeah, that was that. I just watched that and was like going, "What in the?"
It's interesting in that you're watching this and it's kind of like, oh, I see what Argento's doing here. I mean, here's this guy. He's an artist who deals in violence, much like Dario Argento, and people are criticizing him for, hey, you killed too many women, and now he's sort of implicated in this. And it's like, so it's kind of like Argento, making a plea that an artist can be separated from his art, and just because you write about crazy stuff doesn't mean you're crazy. But then you get to the ending of the movie and you're like, oh, well, that's a mixed message right there. Kind of muddied the water, Dario.
Yeah.
Do we need to watch you?
The first time I saw him was in a TV show called Fame is the Name of the Game.
Oh, Name of the Game.
And then, that was a TV movie called Fame is the Name of the Game. And then I think he did a series, The Name of the Game. Yeah.
If I remember right, wasn't Name of the Game kind of an odd show in that there were like 3 leads, and every week it would be one of the leads would have a story and the other 2 guys. And so, yeah.
And Susan St. James was like their assistant, their
Oh yeah,
admin assistant or something. Gene Barry, Robert Stack, and Tony Franciosa.
From what I hear from, and this is, you read stuff on Wikipedia and whatever, he had a temper. He was, was kind of a temperamental guy and maybe a bit of a drinker. So I don't know, maybe he was tough to work with, but I don't know. I just imagine a lot of these actors, you go off to Italy to make movies where, maybe you're not being cast as a leading actor in America, but you go off to Italy to make movies, but it's a different place and the rules are different. And maybe the director doesn't speak English very well. You're probably used to a certain style of directing and you're not going to get that there. So I can imagine where tension's hard and you don't know what's going on. I always have this fear. These actors, they had to be terrified that they're making a movie, they're acting their little hearts out. And then when they go to the theater to see it, it's like the giant claw, where the monster shows up and you're like, oh my God, no one will ever forget this. That's, I mean, movies can look like they're going well. And then when they're done, they're terrible.
Yes.
And the odds of that are probably even greater when you don't know exactly, are the people around me acting well because they're speaking a language I don't know? I can't tell if they're good, bad, or somewhere in the middle.
Well,
I didn't think the acting was bad.
No, I didn't think so.
I thought the acting was okay. What?
Well, you had a good point too about the because I like to, when we're watching a foreign film, I like watching the original language.
Yes.
And doing the subtitles so I can get a feel for the acting and the emotion and the language. But when you do these mixed ones, there's no way to do that. Because if you switch it over to the Italian, then the Americans are dubbed in Italian. The people that are using their own voice. So anyway,
that's why it was kind of confusing, right? Like it made it kind of weird. It did feel disconnected because of that, a little bit.
He was in a movie called Fathom, which I remember
with Raquel Welch.
Oh, yeah. And she, I guess it's not unusual. She famously was in a bikini on the poster and in a certain part of the movie too. So anyway, so there he is with the guy he's sitting with there. Spoiler alert, is the killer.
Maybe.
The first killer.
Sort of.
Yeah. Well, he is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had two killers.
Which the other dude is crazy, too. Like, he's so weird.
Yeah, right.
He's weirder, I think. Like, and it was obvious during the interview that he was a super creeper. It's like, bro, calm down. For real.
That's John Steiner. But yeah, he was like a like a fanboy almost.
Right. This is like a Stephen King situation here, like Misery.
Yeah. Yes. And he's going to kill, I don't know.
He was a dirty bird.
He was. And his general method was the straight razor until the last kill with the teenager, where his razor gets knocked into the pool and he grabs an axe.
Yeah, I gotta say that teenager had to be one of the unluckiest people in horror movies. First, she gets on the wrong side of Super Dog, who I just want to. This dog was absolutely amazing. I mean, that dog went over that fence. I'm like, holy crap! Because when she's like throwing stuff at the cage, I'm like, I wouldn't mess with a Doberman Pinscher. They're pretty nimble. And then he literally climbs up the cage. I'm like, oh, crap. Wow. Yeah.
And then he must chase her like 5 miles.
Chase her 5 miles, and in that 5 miles, she has to pick a place to go. What house should I go into? This one, she chose poorly.
Well, and she climbs 3 fences, and the dog climbs over all 3 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Just shoots over them. It doesn't matter. The first one was like his own fence. It was like 8 feet high. Just
tenacious little sucker.
Oh yeah.
She really should have just climbed a tree. I think that would have been her best bet. But somehow, I bet the dog.
I don't know, that dog might have picked up an axe and chopped the tree down. I mean, this dog really, he just wanted it more.
So tell me, there was this weird. So here's what I was thinking. All right. So first off, we see Peter Neal, Tony Franciosa, on the plane, and he's reading The Hound of the Baskervilles. And then later in the movie, he makes this quote, this famous Sherlock Holmes quote about the when you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And he attributes it to Hound of the Baskervilles, even though it was actually in The Sign of the Four. But that's okay. He probably said similar things other places. And then we have literally like the Hound of the Baskervilles chasing this girl. It's jumping. It's almost supernatural, you know.
Yes.
I don't know if there was a connection there or not. You know why?
I mean, that sounds like a pretty good theory, honestly, Jeff.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
Dario,
he does that with he did that with the dog in Suspiria too, where you know the German Shepherd for no reason just decides to turn on his master. It's like, I don't know, maybe he had a bad experience with pets or something.
Well, that dog had her. That dog had her.
Yeah.
And then sort of backed off a little bit.
Whoever the stunt people were, or the stunt dog, just kudos all around, because that looked like a real opportunity for getting hurt.
Now they did do a little, what do you call it, undercranking on the camera when the dog catches her at that one point, because it was kind of super fast there for about a second when it catches her at the door.
Right. See, that wouldn't make me feel any better if the director's like, no, we're going to undercrank the film to make it look scary. It's like, oh, so just so we're clear, the dog's going to be chewing on me slowly, but we're going to make it look like, you know, like he's tearing me up in much less time. Good. Yeah, I like that better. And suffer longer.
Oh, God. So, Tony Franciosa. Well, again, the wonderful Daria Nicolodi.
Beautiful. And you know what I like too in this movie, he always dresses her up in like, she's in like soft pastels and subdued colors, which is just like the opposite of what you associate a Dario Argento film with. I don't know if that was a deliberate thing or it just creates such a contrast. Although no, this movie is not the assault on your color receptors that Suspiria was. But that just looks so natural on her. She just has this almost painted look.
Well, I think that was part of
I've always loved this one.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back and look, but several of the women wore very muted palettes. I think kind of light colors, like the interviewer and the police detective. Those three were kind of, you know, wore the same styles. And
it's the better to contrast with the blood when it shows up.
Oh yeah, the lighter color.
And she's the one that this is going to sound terrible, but I felt like her dubbing was like didn't fit her voice. Although, did you see who did it?
No, who?
It was Teresa Russell.
Oh wow, interesting.
Really?
And and this happened to her a lot. Now I don't know what it was about her normal voice, or maybe her English wasn't as good as she thought. I know she was very disappointed when she was in Mario Bava's last film, Shock. She was the star of that, and they dubbed her voice over again. And she wasn't thrilled with that.
Well, that's the one reason I'd want to listen to this in Italian, to hear her.
Because she talks like this.
That's great too. That scene towards the end in the rain. Wow, is that some rain, baby?
And I don't know if it was her or Teresa, but whoever was screaming's got quite the set of pipes. That was some good solid scream queening there.
Yeah, that was because it's too bad. You know, I don't know if I was looking for it and didn't find it, but that sculpture was crazy.
Oh yeah. You knew as soon as you saw that someone was going to be stuck on that thing. It was like, this death trap.
That was Chekhov's sculpture. You went, oh, this is going to get used.
But there were so many twists and turns in this. When that picture of her in that middle picture where she's in the back seat after the police, I thought, well, she's going to pull a knife out and stab him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
You know, this
there
thing
were
had,
so many twists and turns in this. I was not.
It'd make as much sense as anything
I was
else.
ready for anything. Yeah.
well, the weird thing is, when you're trying to figure out who the killer is at the beginning, it could have been almost anybody in the movie except the cops. You know, the could have been him, could have been John Saxon, could have been his fiance, could have been Anne, Daria, his assistant.
I thought she was definitely gonna have something going on.
You definitely got to put her on the list of suspects. But as it turns out, I'm thinking about this. She's literally the only person with like more than one line who survives this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone else in this movie, if they have more than one or two lines, they might as well put on the red Star Trek shirt.
Oh, they do.
They're gone.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to figure it out, and maybe there's a trivia about it, but I think there was the body count was 10.
Oh.
8, 9, 11.
Wow.
If you assume that the Germani died when he got the axe to the neck, he doesn't show up again.
Yeah, I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
Anyway. Usually a fatal wound.
Yeah, you always think something's going to happen in the. So I made the mistake of searching for images before I watched this. So there was a couple things I'm like going, oh, when's this going to happen? You know. All righty.
John
Saxon. And there's
definitely a different role for him because, you know, he has a reputation for sometimes being the bad guy, and it's revealed at a certain point that he's got reason to maybe not be the good friend that we thought he was.
Yeah.
But then he's happy to see someone and gets a knife in the stomach for all his trouble.
Yeah,
you know, on a busy street.
I was actually like, what the heck?
Oh, there's something I got to mention. Okay.
Like.
Did I miss something in the movie? I read something, and I was looking in the movie for this, and I didn't see clue. That Argento is supposed to have claimed that this movie took place in the future where some cataclysmic event has drastically reduced the population.
What?
Yeah. And what? Because I didn't see that anywhere, except for the only part that even kind of touched that for me is, you know, that John Saxon is murdered in the middle of a busy street and nobody notices.
But it was still busy.
But it was still busy, yeah. Like, so, I mean, even if those were the only people left on a post-apocalyptic, ruled by intelligent apes Earth, someone should have seen something.
I don't.
I didn't get that.
I don't believe it. No.
Well, that was an interesting scene too, because he's supposed to be waiting for Jane, right?
Yeah.
That's Peter Neal's fiance. He's having the affair with, and Peter Neal seems to not understand why he can't find her. But anyway, he's supposed to be meeting her, so he's sitting out there in the square, and that's I didn't time it, but it's a fairly long scene, and all he does is look around, you know. It's like, oh, I'm looking up the side of that building, and I see the plants on the balconies, and then I look at this couple over there arguing, and then I look at this other kind of cool geometric.
There's a kid playing with a ball.
Yeah, here's a kid playing with a ball. Over here's a couple of youngsters, couple of younger guys fighting over by the storefront.
Yeah, I guess life is getting back to normal since the apocalypse, and here's someone I know. And we don't know who that person is exactly.
No, we don't.
I'm still not 100% sure, but I think I know who it was.
Which maybe it was Jane. Maybe it was Jane.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Well,
she kept going, oh, the bad things. And she's sitting there at the table waiting for Peter to get there. For all the bad things I've done. We never find out what that is.
Well, that's the affair.
Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean,
maybe.
I thought she was... this is what I thought. The killer killed the unrelated women. And then Tony Franciosa killed the killer. And then he kills Gianni. And he kills...
The police lady.
He kills John Saxon.
Yeah.
And then he kills both the police.
He's got quite the kill count.
I mean, his body count goes
like,
up. And his whole thing was to get revenge with his agent and his fiancée are having an affair. So I'm going to kill them.
And everybody else.
He was trying to tie it into the other murder.
And he kind of has a motive to kill the killer because the killer says he's coming after him next. But then he has to kill Gianni because he just figured it out.
Poor Gianni.
He figured out, he remembered. But that's another thing that's in Bird of the Crystal Plumage. This is those things where you saw a scene and you didn't, you missed something. There's just something right in the tip of your tongue.
In this case, it was lip reading.
Yes, yes.
Johnny couldn't tell what was being said in the next room.
Yeah. I killed them all. So wait a minute. You mean it wasn't the killer that killed him? So now we have another killer out there.
And then somehow the killer, after killing the killer, runs around back to the car and slips into the back. I don't know.
This is killers and the killers they kill.
I just put this, if I were on a jury and they were putting this guy on trial and they're explaining how he was actually the killer, and then he did this and raced around, hid in the back seat, strangled the guy, I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing nothing but plausible deniability here. That's reasonable doubt all over my head.
Cracked himself in the head with a rock.
Cracked himself in the head. That explains it all. Okay.
Yeah. So of course, I mean, I watched it once and then I listened to the commentary, but I was watching sort of the hints, and they're there, like when Gianni and Peter go to the killer's house and Johnny sees the killer get killed, but he doesn't see who kills him. He just sees the axe come, right? And then he finds Peter laying there and he's acting all groggy and stuff. When he goes back to the car and it's, oh, did you see him? No, I didn't see anything. It was too dark. And then you could see the look on his face. He plays it really well because knowing how it turns out, I can look at that and say, he was sounding out Gianni to figure out how much he knew. Was he short? Right. Was he tall? Did he this? Did he that?
Do I kill him now or do I kill this?
Yeah. Well, he's got a look in his eye like he's thinking, And the other thing was when they walk away from that house, the camera pans back toward the house, and after I knew what was going on, it stops just short of that tree where he hid the axe, which would have gave it away, right? Or you would have at least, I guess it wouldn't have gave it away, really, because the killer could have hit him on the head and then threw the axe in the tree. But I don't know why he would, but anyway. I don't know. That sounds probably like doesn't make any sense, but
no.
Well, it makes just as much sense as anything else
as anything in the film. Yeah.
I love it. So here are some. Well, there's the t-shirt kill, although it wasn't a t-shirt, it was a white top she was pulling off, kind of, or dress.
The paper and the mouth, though, come on. That was so funny too. Like how that
was awesome
when they were like stuffing more in. It was so funny. It was hilarious. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was great, but it was ridiculous.
Realize that was Dario Argento doing that, right?
Of course, yeah,
because he always did the hands
with the gloves.
So they would do what he wanted them to do.
Make it easiest, yeah.
Sure, he's got issues. Anyway.
Yeah, but now
cast his daughter as a victim and then make sure that he is playing the person victimizing her. It's like, oh, there is not enough money.
Okay, so when you guys saw
this family needs
that bottom picture there with Peter Neal cutting his own throat, did you know right away that was fake?
No,
not me.
I didn't really care enough, I guess, though. I mean, honestly.
At this point in the game, I was like, anything could happen.
Yeah, like, it didn't surprise me that he was back, but I was like, well, did he not slit his throat, I guess? Okay, I buy it. I don't care.
It seemed like a strange ending. I didn't believe it was the ending, because that's just not a good ending. I thought maybe Daria is going to stab the cop now. because that would have made as much sense as anything else. But the part about being a fake blade, what kind of serial killer walks around with a stunt razor? When would that ever come in handy?
Just in case I get caught.
Like, what happens? How embarrassing would it be if you're about to make your kill and you grab the wrong razor? It's like, well, this isn't hurting her at all. I don't
There's
understand.
blood, but
it was cool. I thought it was cool.
This chick is tough.
Like that was pretty cool.
Where do you get something like that in the
I don't know,
neo-apocalyptic future?
Yeah. I know they do sell them because a friend of mine did. Sweeney Todd did, and he was able to get some pretty cool things there. Like they didn't squirt blood. I had to rig it up to squirt blood, but it was, it looked like a real razor, but it wouldn't actually cut you. So
what I did not believe was the look on his face when he did it.
Yeah. Like he kind of overdid it,
Well, because it's not really hurting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's an actor acting.
He's acting.
But let's be real.
Like he's acting.
What's ridiculous about it is he does it and then just falls and dies or whatever. And like the cops say, oh, okay, well, let's go. Yeah. No, that's not the way this would happen. Okay.
And then he goes, wait a minute.
Like,
this is
well, that's true. That's a conceit. That's one of those things we have to buy in movies. If a killer smothers someone with a pillow, if they can hold it for 10 seconds, they're smothered. And we know in real life, trust me on this. You got to hold that pillow for a long, long time.
Remember that time you tried to smother me and it took more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, a classic blunder when I took it off and you just.
I'm still here.
Yep.
Yes.
But I just thought when he actually picked that razor up, I thought, well, this is really cool, but this shows an awful lot of forethought and planning, and you couldn't plan that unless the whole plan was, if you got caught, I'm taking this along in case I get caught and I can pretend like I kill myself, and hopefully they'll leave me completely alone long enough. Anyway, well, he doesn't really.
I'm going to take her. He should be bled out by now. I'm going to go back in and check on him.
Oh yeah. Well, as soon as he said I'm going to go back in, I'm like, oh well, he's not dead because double tap. You should have shot him.
So that weird. The weird sculpture of like stainless steel or chrome plated long pointed cones, What's that? Ice cream cones?
Yeah. Stainless steel ice cream cones are just glued together.
He got run clear through, didn't he?
Oh.
You know how much force it would have taken to go through him and the wood of the door when it actually just fell over?
It was very polished, that steel, very shiny.
It was. But that was another
It was cool the way his hands were slipping on the blood so he couldn't pull it out.
But that sculpture, well, you got that hanging on your wall. You might as well just like bring a couple Bengal tigers into your house. I mean, what's going to happen with that. But yeah.
They stopped selling them after that, I heard.
Okay. I had a couple of things I just thought were, well, my other big question with this, besides, how did he manage to just have this razor handy, the magic razor? At the beginning, when he's getting on the plane, and obviously they hadn't had 911 because nobody ran out of the corner and arrested him for leaving his baggage alone.
Oh, yeah.
Have you left your baggage alone?
Right.
Anyway, not a real smart move.
Then it just shows up on the plane.
Well, the girl, well, he found it.
Did he find it? I don't remember him.
Yeah, he found it.
He did find it.
It was around the corner. But what I didn't get is, who was that? I mean, his fiance was in the phone booth, but who was that other woman that took the bag? And
I don't know.
Yeah.
Never said.
And no. I kept trying to think, did she turn up again? And who would she be? We never saw her again.
Yeah.
And she smashed his watch, and what else was in there? That
tore up his clothes.
Tore his clothes up.
Yeah. I thought it was her. Wasn't it her?
But there was another woman.
Said.
There was another woman there.
She thought it was the ex, though.
Maybe the woman was just pissed because he broke in line.
She had but she walks by Jane, who's in the phone booth, and knocks on the window and walks by, and then, or knocks on the door, and then Jane comes out.
Oh, Jane probably paid her to do it.
Yeah, so, I don't know. There was a cool shot there when he kills Germani, where they were almost perfectly lined up, although you could see a tip of an ear. Like, I thought that was interesting. You know, he bends down, so we got Germani, Neal, Germani, and then.
What's more impressive was when he came back up and he was still lined up with him perfectly.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And how he was able to sneak in there, you know, like tippy toes and get behind this. Now, admittedly, this is an Italian cop in a Giallo movie. So, yeah, an elephant could have walked in the room and he's not going to, you know, notice it. They're not terribly effective. So.
Well, the other thing was we kept seeing these flashbacks.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
What we learned later was Tony Franciosa when he was young, where this girl humiliates him, sticks that high heel down his mouth.
Okay, yeah.
And the other boys beat him up too somehow. I don't know.
Well, because after he slaps her, though, he slaps her and runs off, and then they go and attack him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then later he tracks her down and kills her. Stabs her in another one of those flashbacks. So that's where his psyche was damaged, I guess. And that's why the red shoes he's going to give to Jane, because she humiliated him like this other woman did, because she was walking around the beach with red high heels on. Which
that was so weird.
I gotta think that doesn't happen too often. But the first time we know that something's going on, we see this weird shadow figure that's like going, you know, and then he bends over. And you see him drinking and everything. That's apparently him in his hotel room, struggling with his, I don't know, psychosis or what. We don't know what was going on, but so all of that stuff, you know, like there's all kinds of things through here that if you stop and think about it at the end, they piece together. But while you're watching it, you're going, what the?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so we talked, let's see, light bulb. Oh, breaking glass too. Lots of breaking glass.
Oh, yeah. Wow. It's a Dario Argento movie. There's got to be a dead woman hanging out of a window with broken glass.
I don't know. I don't think you had that one, did you?
I didn't have that one, no.
She falls through the window, and that's the shot in the poster, right? With her head hanging down.
And I couldn't find a good shot of the arm chop off, which I would have put in there just to give Chad the
I know. So same thing with the glass breaking. Jane is sitting there at the table, and you know that glass is going to break. You know, glass breaks, boom, the axe comes in, chops out her hand. She spins around, sprays it,
paints the town.
Gallons.
Yeah. It was everywhere.
It's Monty Python Black Knight, you know.
It is. It is. Okay. Well, also, did you notice? Let's see, a couple of well-known people here. So we talked in Bird of the Crystal Plumage that Franco Fratticelli was his standard editor. That's who did this one. Also, first assistant director was Lamberto Bava.
Good. Yeah.
Second assistant director was Michele Soavi.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we got some people in there, and then
I saw folks who would go on to make their own horror movies. Yeah,
The Church, and
Yep. Production services in New York, provided by William Lustig.
Oh,
wow,
Maniac, right?
Yep, among others. So interesting. And Bava played one of the elevator repairmen too, Umberto Bava. The guys that came up and turned the screwdriver and then went away.
And then wasn't it shortly after this that Argento produced Lamberto Bava's Demons?
Could be.
I think it was around.
I don't know the
right
time.
Around the same time.
Okay.
So yeah, this was made at a good time for the Italian horror movies. Just I don't think anyone realized it at the time. This was getting near it maybe had already passed the high water mark, and things would go downhill pretty fast. And certainly for Argento, I think I would argue he made 2 more good films, Opera and Phenomena, and then just a rapid descent to the depths of Dracula, which we will not speak of again. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
I could not believe he made that. That was one of his movies. I couldn't believe it.
I guess I'm going to have to actually watch this. Well, did you see who they originally considered for the lead role? Who he wanted? No. Christopher Walken.
Oh God, that would have been amazing.
Yeah,
that would have been amazing.
Tenebrae.
Yeah.
Although,
well done, well played, sir.
He probably had his reputation for playing crazies by then, so then you just would have automatically thought he was
right.
Oh yeah, too much baggage.
It's kind of like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, who I love, and I love the movie and everything. But you know, the book, the guy starts out normal and slowly descends into insanity. And as soon as you see Jack Nicholson in the car driving up to the hotel, you're like, well, this family is screwed.
Pretty much. Let's see, what else do we got here? I think that's about it. But any final thoughts about Tenebrae?
I'm glad I waited. I'm glad I got to talk to it with you guys, and just a really fun film.
It is. It is fun. I had a good time watching it. Like I said, I used to find these type of movies boring, and I would figure out who. But this one kept me guessing up until the very end.
And it does have a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, it's still showing what's to come from Argento, as far as style, and we got to see a little bit more of that from Bird with Crystal Plumage. We got to see a progression from that into this, and it's just it was interesting to see.
If you haven't seen it, I say see it.
Yeah, definitely see it. It has a reputation for being misogynistic, and and certainly the most memorable kills are against beautiful women. But everyone dies in this movie. Everybody.
But I think it actually is trying to be the opposite of that. Like, he specifically says there was nothing wrong with them being gay. The writer, like him he's like, but they're not. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't think you understand. The only one that's a deviant is the killer.
Right.
That's what he said. So I mean, even though it kind of, I could see how it could get those tones, I don't think that was his intention. I think he actually was trying to be more accepting of all these I think he was more like, this is what the world sees as deviance, but the real deviant is just the murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. But people even more so today than then are very superficial, and a woman got killed. Oh, well, then that must be the reason. You're like, well, I mean, someone's got to die. It's a horror movie.
Yeah, for real though. But I thought, this is the
everybody but Daria dies, pretty much.
Which is unusual for
him. And the one
really.
Prostitute he was stalking that got in a car before he could get over there.
Yeah, good move, sis.
All righty. I think that's it for this episode, folks. We do have a couple of feedbacks on the Loch Ness Horror.
Oh, God. One of them's from Jerry.
Already?
Yeah, it just came out 2 days ago. So anyway, Crystal, could you read the one from Gregory Crosby?
Okay. Nothing has made me laugh quite so hard of late as hearing Crystal losing it over that scene. It's almost enough to make me watch this movie just to see what cracked her up. Almost. As for the Loch Ness Horror, what can one say? It's a movie of its time. That is so
that's true.
Yeah.
You were I was laughing my ass off when I edited this. I just do a run through. I don't really cut hardly anything, but I just do a run through, and I was.
I'm like, it's gonna make me cry again. Like, it makes me laugh. I mean, it's so bad. It's so this. Like, it really is so bad that all you can do is laugh. That they actually put it out there. I mean, it's something.
That was their best take.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Oh God. Okay, I don't want the
Start her again.
Well, thanks, Gregory. I got a big kick out of it too, so glad you enjoyed it. And Jerry Chandler. So, Chad or Bill?
I can talk fast.
Okay.
Okay, Jerry Chandler, talking about Loch Ness Horror, the movie he's asked us to watch since the dawn of time. So I should start out by saying thank you for risking your sanity to do the Loch Ness Horror. I've been mentioning this movie as far back as when Santos was doing the show, but it was always sort of a weird joke to amuse myself since I didn't think you'd ever actually do it. It was a bit like the times.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
man.
It wasn't serious. It wasn't a serious suggestion.
Oh, now he says that. That's his story now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit like the times I mentioned bribe money to get you to do Demonoid as a very special episode for Chad.
We're not doing Demonoid.
You know,
Chad has put his foot down.
He was going to bribe me to say we were doing The Hand one time.
Yeah, I know. He's hilarious, that guy.
he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's a funny man.
Funny. What, like a clown?
For now, he's funny.
Yeah. Which actually, if Chad keeps doing his special impersonations of me, might not be a joke. We'll talk. We'll talk about bribe amounts later. I can even throw a Blu-ray to sweeten the deal. Oh, hey, now it's getting serious.
Mm-hmm. And we know Jeff likes his Blu-rays.
Oh yeah, God. I'll do it for a Klondike bar, but
he's probably behind the whole Chad reads taglines thing, and Jeff's getting kickbacks from it from Jerry.
Jeff, he's on to you. No. So anyhow, the Loch Ness Horror. Yeah, it's a bad movie. I'll never say it's not a bad movie, but damn, it's a laughably fun bad movie. Bill half-jokingly calls this Larry Buchanan's best film, but backhanded compliment, jokingly made or not, there's some truth to that. I think what makes the film more watchable than many of his other films, both for me and for some others, is that it actually feels almost like everyone here was trying. They were failing miserably, but they were trying. I think that makes a big difference. I've seen a lot of bad movies, especially more modern ones. Some are bad in a way that's almost sterile. You don't get any feeling that there was any passion for the project or for filmmaking by the people involved. They showed up for a job and a paycheck, and that's it. Then there are films where it feels like people were trying, and you just want to root for them, but kind of end up laughing with them instead. But you can't fault some of them for failing. Poor Peter Chesney made a monster that people look at now and poke fun over how limited it is, but the man worked miracles with what little he was given to work with. I mean, there's humor in the fact that the distributor was named M&M Films because I'm pretty sure everyone in this film was paid in peanuts and given little more than that as their budget to create things for the film. Plus, well, Peter Chesney probably didn't have any say in the unfortunate choice to use the sound effect of a flying TIE fighter to be the monster's raw. Then there's Larry Buchanan's writing. He wanted to blow up the monster instead of just coming up with some straightforward way to blow up the monster. He creates a mystery plot around an intact Nazi plane crashed into the loch. It's an odd bit here and there in most of the film, revealed at the end to be a giant conspiracy where a now knighted member of parliament was given credit for shooting the plane down and thus starting his rise to fame and power when the plane actually just crashed for unknown reasons while the young man was abandoning his post to get drunk and enjoy the services of a lady of the evening in town. To hide this, the British government wants to blow up the plane so no one sees that it wasn't shot down. It's an out-of-nowhere addition that has no impact for the viewer since there's no actual setup around this fictional member of parliament, and it makes zero sense for any other part of the movie, and damn, the dialogue is written and the pilot explanation is painfully bad. But still kind of funny. I didn't
really remember that.
This makes so much more sense than the movie did. And that's the thing with this movie for me. It's funny. It was largely people who were inept, aided by a few talented people at an early part of their behind-the-scenes careers, trying as hard as they could, but just getting their efforts creamed by this being a Larry Buchanan film. The result, as Crystal said, I can enjoy it because it makes me laugh. Speaking of laughing, if Crystal hasn't already done it, make her look up on YouTube, Bullshit or Not, and also the Ed Begley Jr. starring short from Amazon Women of the Moon, Son of the Invisible Man. Don't touch me there.
Yeah, you've got to see that, Crystal.
He is right. He is right. Hilarious. I'll send you the link. Those are the two best parts of Amazon Women on the Moon, and they are awfully good.
Awesome. I will definitely watch that.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks,
Oh,
Jerry.
yeah, thanks, Jerry.
We appreciate the effort because, you know, I was hoping we
Thanks for the letter, if not the recommendation.
I'm glad I saw
you
it.
know.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, it's
You know
good
what?
for
You
me.
brought a smile to Crystal's lips, and we got to hear her merry
wow.
laughter echo through our headphones, so it was worth it.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We watch a lot of bad stuff, but that was probably it's the worst stuff that's made me laugh the hardest. Okay,
That's good then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's worse stuff, but then it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
bad. But
Right.
it's, I mean,
Fury of the Wolfman.
it's almost sad. This was almost sad because it was so bad. And I do agree. I think they tried so hard. And that's what makes it sad. It's like,
That's what makes it.
precious. God bless your
Right.
heart, you know? Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So when I asked you, Jerry, for a good streaming source, you didn't say, "Oh, don't worry about it. I've just been kidding." You gave me a link.
Of course.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
just joking.
Well, I've got it all queued up for you.
Thanks, Gregory, and thanks, Jerry.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank
what are we doing?
Next week. Next time. Not next week. Next time.
Next
My bad.
episode, every 2 weeks, we have a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up is one chosen by Crystal.
Yay. And it's a collaborative effort, kind of, really, because I didn't have a pick. It's George Romero's Monkey Shines, which I love. And I'm sure everyone here loves it. Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. Well, I don't know. It has been a bit since I've seen it. I wonder.
Yeah, it
I'm
has.
still gonna like it.
As I recall, it involves a
Not worried.
monkey with a razor, and as
Yes.
I think I've mentioned in the past, that is the most. That's to me what normal human hands are to Chad.
Yeah. That's what was the
Kinda
movie
like
we covered
Phenomena.
with the monkey with the
wasn't
razor?
Well, there was
yeah.
Phenomena
What
had a
was
it?
chimpanzee
Yeah,
with a
Phenomena.
razor. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and a chimp with a razor is more terrifying than a monkey with a razor, though monkeys are
A
fast.
chimp without a razor is
Oh yeah,
just
just
terrifying.
a chimp.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
They're so strong.
If he's not behind iron bars this thick,
Chimp
yeah,
with
I
a
don't want to deal with it.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please leave feedback. You can leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. You can leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine HNR and DOH podcast Facebook group,
Mm-hmm.
Gruesome Magazine Facebook page, Gruesome Magazine website, or you can send emails to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com. So, but we love them and we try to read all of them. So anyway,
I do.
y'all-
I go in and I read them everywhere.
I appreciate
really?
it.
Yeah, I read
appreciate it.
I read every one.
In a
And
funny
he
voice.
replies to some of them too, and nobody
Do you?
knows who he is.
No,
Wow. Really? Ooh.
some people might because my face is on the
Oh,
icon.
Okay.
the avatar.
Okay. Well, then
Well.
that's kind of.
So you're using the Clark Kent Superman.
Sam
No,
James.
guys.
But I mean,
Yes.
it is my face as the
Yeah.
avatar.
They
should
might
put some
figure it out
glasses
from
on or
that. I'm
something.
not sure.
Yeah. Or just use like something else, like, like a Beetlejuice or an eyeball or a pinhead or anything, but yourself,
You know, we haven't heard from Evil Genius.
not that
for a
I would
while.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably planning some world
Yeah,
dominating,
Or laughing at us,
Clearly.
one or the other.
It's probably
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
All right. Well, catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night.